Hello, and welcome to Subnautica Below Zero. Well, the game's finally finished and it's out full release. We're no longer in early access. And I've been playing it in early access for pretty much from the start. And I must admit, it's been really good, but a lot of things changed along the way and I was just playing from the same, save until it got to the point where they made a massive change, in which case, yeah, I have to start again and so on. But I've been playing it for quite a while. It had a lot of changes over the course of time. So this time round I want to play the game in full. I want to see what the story's like, now that it's actually fully finished. So I've got choices here about, the difficulty level we go. Now, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for hardcore mode. So it's kind of like one up from survival, which I normally would play at. Except this one, it's got what's basically permadeath. You've got one life. So if your character dies in the game, that's it. It's the end of the playthrough. It's the end of the game. You can't make any saves at all, I've noticed. In this, if you're playing in survival mode, you can make a save. If you die, you'll respawn back at your base, or you'll respawn back in maybe the sea truck, for example. In this one, that's it. If your character dies, you don't respawn. There is one slight concern I've got, is that if the game crashes, there's the potential, I think, where the result is the same, that's it, end of the game. So I'm a bit concerned about that, I must admit. But that's what I'm going to do. So yeah, you've only got one life. You don't even get O2 alerts, so you really got to keep an eye on your oxygen, for example. So I think this is going to be a lot more interesting. I'm still interested in seeing the game, but that's going to be a bigger challenge. So let's get started.
This is the farthest I can take you on company space bucks, Robin. You sure you want this? The research is in everything.
It is to me. And Sam. I need to know what happened.
The meteor storm.
I can use it for cover from Altera's eyes.
Gonna miss you, Robin.
I'll find my way back.
Approaching 45-46 feet. Surface temperature is drop pod deployed. Welcome to 45-46 feet. Enjoy your stay.
Look, I love that. I must admit, I really love that. I mean, you've got to admit, this thing was pretty resilient. We sort of hit that meteor and it still managed to survive, and then it somehow managed to actually land it, and then it still was intact, and then got hit by under the meteor, and that was it. Anywho, there's various bits and bobs lying around here, so I think I'll pick them up. I'm just going to have to keep an eye on that temperature.
Blueprint synthesized.
Okay, thanks for letting me know. So when it's a case of we're getting warnings, from there telling us our temperature's dropping. We're going to freeze to death. I'm going to do something about it, to be honest. But I just want to have a quick check around while I play dodge with any meteors to try and get anything around here, because that's the name of the game, is survival. Although I must admit, it's not as difficult as the original Subnautica. There's something over there. Now, basically what it is Robin here. She's come down to this planet, which is the same planet from the original Subnautica. And it's a case of her sister, Sam.
Holy smokes! That did not go as planned. I should find a way into the water and get to the drop pod.
Yeah, her sister Sam has died, so she's come to this planet to investigate. I mean, incidentally, these plants here, they actually, you know, they'll actually warm you up. The only trouble is if you get too close, they'll actually burn you. So that's one thing to bear in mind. So we've landed on this planet. So we've got an objective. We need to find out what happened to Sam. But we've obviously got to survive as well. So it is a survival game. So it's a case of, yeah, first things first is really to get to this drop pod, because I've got a certain amount of food left. But I'm going to have to find a way to make my own food, get my own water and so on. Because that's the sort of like difficulty level we're playing on. So we've got little meters there saying, you know, this is how much health we've got. This is how much food we've got left. How much water, you know, what our temperature, body temperature is like, what our O2 gauge is like. So all those sort of things can lead to death, and we've only got one choice really on this hardcore mode. So that's going to be interesting. Because in survival, I was getting really used to that option, especially while I'm playing this as a, you know, recording it. I was getting that used to having the warning. When you've only got a certain amount of oxygen left, the PDA would normally warn me and say, oh, we've got so much oxygen left. And then in case of, oh, right, I'd suddenly like panic and get into action and get to the surface or something. But anywho.
Found the drop pod.
This is our drop pod. So this is where we get started. So we've got a fabricator here so we can actually make things, and there's certain things we know how to make. So as we go along, we'll learn how to make new things as we discover them. And then we've got a storage here, which for some strange reason I keep forgetting. So yeah, we've got a certain amount of storage. And I've got these things here, that things like the flares, some water and some nutrient blocks of food that we've picked up from that crash site where we were at. So it's a case of, this is all the different things we know how to make now, and that's going to be my priority. So I don't have that much like O2, so I definitely want an O2 tank. Good thing I like about this is we can actually pin these blueprints, and they show up on the right hand side there, as you can see, and they'll actually tell you. I mean, you just hover over these blueprints and they're telling me exactly you know, what I need to make them. If I right click, or left click I should say, it says, you know, pin recipe, and it'll pin that up to the right hand side. So that's a good way to be able to let me know while I'm going around to find out how, you know, what sort of resources that I do need. We do have a scanner now. I definitely need a scanner, because we can scan things that are out there, fragments if you will, that'll either give you part of the blueprint or the entire blueprint. Really depends on what it is you're looking for. But yeah, so you definitely need a scanner. I need the knife. Not that much for sort of like fending things off. I mean, it can be useful in that respect, but this is more for the certain things I need to cut down. So it's like plants, and for example, I need to chop them up. That's how I'll get some of the resources. The fins are extremely useful. You can go a lot quicker in the actual water while you've got fins, but the O2 tank is really crucial, because you just can't survive long. You'll get better tanks as you go along, which gives you, you know, more oxygen reserves. The compass is also extremely useful, because...
Well, Sam, I guess I might as well gather some tools and resources before starting my search. Hope that radio tower's as easy to spot as Lil said.
Right, so that's a flaw straight away, I must admit, because I didn't listen to that playback from Lillian. But anyway, the compass is extremely useful because we don't have a map. I mean, I'll go out here, and I don't know where I am. I have literally no idea where I am. I can go to the surface, and I can have a look around, and if it's not overcast, or it's not foggy, and if it's not, you know, hailstones and all sorts, even still, I can't tell where I am at. I mean, we've got this here. This is a beacon. You'll get a beacon with this thing. So it actually shows up as a little beacon on them, you know, within your view, so you can find out where things are. But it's that compass you really need to give you your bearings, because you can see, I mean, at the moment, up on the top it's saying that we're 11 meters, 9 meters below the surface, but I've got no sense of direction or anything, so the compass is going to be extremely useful. So, let's just listen actually to that playback that Lillian sent. Because this part here, the data bank, is where we keep all sorts of playback videos that we've listened to. This is our voice log. So the voice log is things that Robin's been saying, other people have been saying, but it's this sort of stuff here that we're interested in. So let's see. So we've been given this information, just tips on survival. This one was by Lillian. These ones are just messages from Sam. I'm just going to skip these. You can listen to these, you can read them, whatever. One of the most important things is this here. This is why we are here, because Robin's been told that Sam died and she was involved in some accident. They're blaming the accident on her. But Robin's come here to investigate. Now, I'm particularly interested in this one because if you listen to Lillian, what she's saying is she's giving us clues, because she doesn't believe that Sam, was responsible for whatever this accident was, but she's saying that she got to see Sam over at Outpost Zero, so that's something of interest. What is this Outpost Zero? That seems to be a bit of a clue, but then there's also this Delta Station, because she's saying that there should be some information left over at Delta Station. So these are two areas straight away we're interested in looking for. We just don't know where they are though, but I'm going to play this one back by Lillian because it's definitely useful.
I want to offer my sincerest condolences on the passing of your sister. I got to know Sam better towards the end of my mandate with Altera on 4546B, when we were thrown together as basemates at Outpost Zero. She spoke often and fondly of you. I thought you should know, it didn't sit right with me when Altera blamed Sam's death on negligence. The Samantha Ayu I met was many things. Kind, clever, devoted to her work, but never negligent. I wish I could offer you something more substantial, but my access to information has been cut off. You may be in a better position to look into things than I am. If you're able to, Delta Station was our HQ. They were in a big hurry to leave, and there might still be information to be found there. It has a big radio tower, impossible to miss. I hope you find the answers you seek. Lillian Bench.
So that's our clue. I mean, we've got a background story, and you can learn more if you go through the messages that Sam actually sent. But the key for me is what Lillian's telling me. But the thing is, at this stage, I don't have a sense of bearing and so on. We can't survive. We're going to run out of food. I mean, we've got some emergencies, but we need to be able to make our own food and so on. So that's why I've been pinning these blueprints. We can make these things in the fabricator here. So I want to go out and I want to start searching for things, and then, well, we'll have a better chance of survival. So that the scuba tank is something I'm interested in. So are the fins, but the trouble is I can't get those. Well, I can actually get them. So I'm gonna have a bit of a look around. The problem is getting my bearings, because I know, because I've played the game before, because I've also played Subnautica. I'm just heading in this direction because over here I can see what are creepvine clusters. And that's part of the game, to be honest. It's about exploring. You find things out as you go along. So I want to be able to make rubber, for example. Now, I must admit, if you look at the blueprints, it actually tells you, if you hover over, it tells us to get rubber, you need these creepvine seed clusters. And that's what these are down here.
Supply cache nearby.
Oh, okay, thanks a lot. So there's a supply cache we can go and investigate as well. But I want to grab some of these.
New blueprint synthesized.
Okay, so because we've picked those up, we've actually learned a new blueprint as well. So we already know that these seeds can be made to use rubber. And we've just actually learned another blueprint, which is to make lubricant. And that'll be used to make something else. So I also need titanium. So I can use these seeds to make the rubber, but I need some titanium as well to make this knife, because the knife's going to come in useful in a minute. So these little rocks, there's lots of different types of rocks, outcroppings. This one's called a limestone one. So if I just keep clicking on that,
use this.
yeah, if I click on that, sometimes it'll give me titanium, but sometimes this limestone one will give me copper. Ah, there you go. So I picked up copper. The good thing is it automatically picks them up. Not all the time, most of the time. So they don't automatically go into your inventory, just sometimes. It seems to be hit and miss. But anyway, I'm just going to come back here. And I can tell that was close. I'm spending too much attention to the video whenever I'm trying to explain things. I'm not paying enough attention to my O2 supply, so this is going to be tricky. But anyhow, I can now make rubber because we've got the creepvine clusters. So you just go through the the menu system that it's got here. So one thing I can make is rubber, and I need some rubber to make the knife. So go over to tools. I can now make a knife. I need some more rubber, and with that I can make the actual fins. So I'll make that. That comes under our equipment. So because we've got nothing in our hotbar, the knife went into our inventory here, and then it went straight into our hotbar, whereas the fins, they went straight into one of these slots that you've got for, you know, costume you wear, items that you've got, and so on. But I'm now finished with those two blueprints. So what I can do, if I go back to the
Calorie
blueprint...
intake recommended.
Okay, thanks. If I go back to these blueprints, it's quite useful. If I click on, say, the fins there, it automatically takes us to these fins in the blueprint, which is good, because one of the things would have been useful was actually if you could just search these blueprints. Instead, you've got to literally work your way through them, and it gets bigger and bigger, the list. There's more and more things to find here. So the good thing is, if you've pinned them up here, you can just click on it and it'll actually take you straight to that blueprint here. So I don't need this anymore, so I'm just going to click it again and it'll disappear from my pinned list. And I can do the same with the knife because we've already made a knife. So what I need now is I need to be able to make a battery, to be able to make a scanner, for example. So scroll up the list and pin the battery. Now the battery needs ribbon plants and copper. The compass also needs a wiring kit. Now the wiring kit needs silver. The copper wire just needs copper ore. So there's a few more things we can get there, but the key thing is I'm actually running out of food. And at this stage we can actually get food from fish. So if I grab, say, that
New
one,
creature discovered.
because I've picked it up, it's gone into my hotbar because there's nothing in that in the hotbar slots at the minute, except the knife. So it automatically just puts things into the slot bar when you pick them up. There's another type of fish there,
discovered.
just called a bladder fish. I'll grab that one. Then there's another fish here.
New creature discovered.
Grab that one. I want to grab another fish while I'm at it. Now you can see there, for instance, that's actually showing up as a beacon because we've got a beacon manager. So which is quite good, but I still don't have this sense of direction of what's where. So at this stage, yeah, we're never going to get an actual map to show us where we are on the actual map. So the compass comes in extremely useful. But anyway, what I really need to do is make some food, and we can actually make food out of fish. Now this one here called the bladder fish, I can turn that into water. So that's something that's extremely useful. Any type of fish we've got, we can just cook it. So I'll cook that one there. And that one. And then the other one. So I'll cook them. So I can now eat these. So the hoopfish is giving us 23 food and 3 water, whereas the Arctic peep is giving us 32 food and 5 water. So it's better to eat these than those ones.
Vital signs stabilizing.
So that's pretty good. And I can grab some water as well. So while we're playing in either, you know, things like survival mode or hardcore mode, we've got to keep on top of our food and our water. And you do lose a lot of water just by swimming around. Now, I am interested in that scuba tank because I really need, you know, a better reserve of oxygen, because we don't have anything like that while we're in the at the moment. You know, you look in our inventory, we've got nothing really. I mean, we've got something. We don't have things like an oxygen tank. So if we have a look in the blueprints, I mean, at the moment while I'm on the surface and I'm getting exposed to really freezing cold weather, but if you go to fiber mesh, it tells you that you need these creepvine samples. So if I can figure out where it was. I think I was heading in that direction. Because over here was where we got the creepvine seed clusters from. You can actually, incidentally, you can head in over in that direction where the supply cache is. There's plenty of these clusters over there. But what I can do is if I use the knife, I can take samples from this creepvine.
New blueprint synthesized.
So I can now head back. Now, I'll be able to turn this into fiber mesh. But what I do need is I need some more titanium. So I'm going to see if we can get some from there. Yep, that'll do me. So I've got enough titanium now. I just need to convert these creepvine samples over to fiber mesh. And then we'll be able to make an O2 tank. So it goes into our inventory. Oh no, I haven't. I need to actually make it first. It won't help. We'll go to equipment. I'll get it to make an O2 tank.
Adding additional blueprints to your databank.
So that's gone straight into one of our slots. So you've got this little green bar, if you will, and that actually shows you how much O2 is in the
Standard
tank.
oxygen tank can be upgraded for deluxe and VIP breathing.
I like that, I must admit, VIP breathing. Right, anyway, so while we're out here, it's still showing the temperature. So we're back over to the O2 gauge. So we've gone from about, I think it was it 72, I think it was showing? So instead of 45, it's 75. Okay, so we're getting a slight boost, but there are better O2 tanks out there. Now, one thing I'm actually going to do is I'm going to get some more titanium. If I can. Just need to sew around and look for it. But because I'm in this hardcore mode, I'm going to really have to keep an eye on my oxygen. Right, okay, so we've got enough titanium there. We'll come back to our little pod here. If I can find the door. So I'm going to make some more fiber mesh. Because I want to make another tank. Now, yeah, we've got some titanium, we've got some fiber mesh, so you can actually carry an additional tank on you. I'm pretty sure in the original Subnautica, if you had an extra tank on you, it actually boosted your oxygen supply, but you can see this one here, how the little bar there is completely empty, so I'm going to swap that over, and you'll see how it filled up. Now that one's got so much oxygen, that one's got so much oxygen, so if I actually go outside, now into the water, we'll start to see our O2 go back down again. Now in the original Subnautica, if you actually had multiple tanks on you, it all gave you, a lot more O2, so you could have lots and lots of O2 by just carrying around multiple tanks, but we're not getting that here. We're still limited to whatever the tank is, so it's being very specific in terms of you've got only as much O2 as the O2 tank you're actually wearing, which actually makes a lot of sense. So I'm just letting the O2 go down here. Because what I want to do, actually while I'm at it, I need some ribbon plants, don't I? So down to about 30 something oxygen. But the thing is, I can actually swap the tanks over. But there's one bit I'm not too...
Ribbon plants contain electrolytic materials that can be used in energy storage.
It's one thing I'm not keen on, which is when I swap this tank over, it didn't actually give me the full supply, which always has me a bit puzzled. I was expecting like 75 oxygen there, but I only got 45. So yeah, I do find that a bit odd, I must admit. Right, let's head back in here. So, we can now make a battery. And then with a battery, we can make a scanner, but I need some more titanium. So we just need to have a another look around for these little limestone outcroppings. There we go. So we've got our titanium. So that was pretty easy enough. So with that, we should be able to now make a scanner. Incidentally, we learned that. I noticed we learned that repair tool.
All right, I have a scanner.
You can use that to repair things that you make later down the line. So that's quite useful. In the original Subnautica, it was much harder getting these sort of blueprints. You knew next to nothing. You had to literally go out and find all sorts of things, all sorts of these blueprints. But right, we don't need that anymore, so we will unpin that. We don't need the scanner anymore, so I will unpin that. We don't need the battery, so I will unpin that. Problem is, I don't have any silver. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to make that copper wire. So we've got our copper wire, we just don't have any silver. So I'm going to unpin. So that's something I'm going to have to keep an eye out for, is silver. But the key thing is, we've now got this scanner. And with the scanner, if we find any fragments around, we can actually scan them. But you can also scan, you know, things like the fish, you can scan fauna. There's all sorts of things you can scan and learn more about them. It just depends. So, pretty sure I can scan this. So, we can scan this. Press a tab and it tells you more information about it. Let's see if we can scan that. Yeah, we scan the ribbon plant. The only thing to bear in mind is I've really got to keep an eye on the O2 gauge there. Because in hardcore mode, I don't get any warnings about, you know, how much O2 I've got. If you play it in survival mode, you do get a warning. It'll say, oh, you know, you've got 10 seconds left or 30 seconds left. It depends on what sort of depth you're at. But yeah, you can scan all sorts of things. So I mean, you can scan if you can actually keep up with the fish, it'll let you scan the fish. Although if you pick them up, you tend to learn how to, you know, what their blueprint is basically and how to cook them and so on. Let's see if we can just scan that boomerang fish. I'm going to grab that one. I'm going to need some more. Watch, I'll just scan that.
New creature discovered.
Okay, thanks. Grab. Yep, I'll just grab that again. I want to get another peeper because you don't actually have to eat fish cooked. Although bear in mind that these things, all this stuff that does spoil, and I'm pretty sure it can damage your health as well. I can't remember, it's a long time since I've been in that situation, because normally I learned it wasn't good to let things spoil anyway. But I've got two of these peepers, because what you can do is you get different amounts of food and water depending on whether it's cooked or uncooked. And you can also use salt to preserve things as well, which is useful. So we'll just go back in our little pod here. So if we have a look in our inventory, I've got a boomerang fish. So that's 8 food and -3 water. So if I eat this raw, I'll gain some food, but I'll lose some water. It's the same with the peepers as well. I'll gain some food, but I'll lose some water. Bladder fish, yep, okay. So I'll make the water first, and then I'll cook the boomerang fish. I'll cook one of the peepers, but I'll leave one of the peepers uncooked so we can compare them. So, right, if you look at that, you can see that's giving us 32 food versus 12 food. We get 5 water versus a loss of 7 water. So, yeah, you can, you know, eat these things raw, but it's just something to bear in mind. They also last longer as well if you cook them, as far as I recall. They'll definitely last longer if you use the salt to preserve them. Although I think that comes at a cost of oxygen. Now, I need to find. Yeah, you can see I'm getting a little reminder down there. Whenever I come across something, if you can scan it, you get a little icon pops up saying you can actually scan things. So that's quite useful. Now, one thing we were told was there was an emergency supply cache, and it's actually got this beacon. We've got this thing here called a beacon manager, So you can hide things from the system if you want. If you don't want to see them, you can change them to different colours if you want. So that's quite useful. So it's definitely useful because, like I said, there's no map on this game. You don't know where you are. You can only just go by, you know, bearings basically. Try and use something as a reference point, and fortunately it tells you how far away you are from a certain thing. You can actually make your own beacons, which is useful as well. So we're just heading over to this supply cache to see what useful stuff we've got. That incidentally is salt. So just pick some of that up out of curiosity. Do a bit of a comparison again to see what things are like when you use salt versus just cooking them. Now I'm going to have to be really careful because there's some creatures like that thing there. They can cause a lot of problems. They actually freeze you. If one of these things spits on you, it'll freeze you. Next thing you know, you're literally sinking to the actual bottom of the seabed. And yeah, that's not exciting. Oh, I could hear that. Right, I'm just going to go up to the top here and get some O2. I can scan that while I'm at it. Why not? It's just useful information more than anything. It's really things like fragments that you want to scan to get to learn blueprints. Oh! You can hear these things. These are like little sea monkeys. I panicked there because if you've got something in your hand, the sea monkey will actually grab it off you and run away with it, or swim away I should say. Anywho, so this is this place we were told there was a beacon we were given for an emergency supply cache. So I'm going to have a bit of a look around and see what we can find, because here we've got a... oh, there's some water in that crate there. It's a flare. Oh, put that away, otherwise the sea monkey will get excited. We'll probably steal it. There's a first aid kit, so you can use those to heal yourself. Then there's a PDA. Ah, now that's useful. So there's a beacon there, so I'm going to scan that beacon. Because it then gives us a blueprint so we can actually make our own beacons. So let's get some more O2. We'll go back down again. Pretty sure... let's see if I can scan that. Yeah, I can scan the actual light stick as well. So we learn a blueprint. So some things you'll scan them. They'll give you the entire blueprint in one go, in which case you can start making them. Others, on the other hand, they just give you a fragment, if you will, of the blueprint. So you've got to actually search and find multiple fragments. I really don't have that much oxygen, so I'm going to go back to the surface again. It gets better as you get along because you get much better O2 tanks. Which means you'll be able to last longer underwater. You'll also get vehicles. But what I've noticed there is, it says there that's a sea glide fragment. So if I scan that, it's actually saying 1 of 3. So I need to find another 2 fragments to be able to make that sea glide. That's a mobile vehicle bay fragment. So again, 1 of 3. So for me to be able to make those, I need to find 2 more fragments like that. So some items you only have to scan them once, you get the entire blueprint. Some items you have to scan multiple times, you have to find, several of them to be able to scan them. Once you've actually collected all of the fragments, or once you know the blueprint, what happens then is if you scan that type of item again, well, that's it. It's you just get titanium instead if you scan them. Right, so I'm just going to head back over here because I'm just going to have a look down here. Down in these areas that you see here, you end up with, this is where the actual the little sea monkeys are from. They usually have little nests. Oh no 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 no! That's useful. That's an oxygen plant. You can get oxygen back from this thing if you touch that. But again, you'll run out of oxygen pretty quickly. But these little sea monkeys, they have nests, and usually if you find a nest, you'll find something that you can scan. Because what they do is they'll steal items from you, but they've also stolen them from other people. Yeah, I'm not seeing any around here. But that there... See if I can get that. Yeah, I can pick that up and learn something, so that's useful. But I need to get out of here. It's too deep. But let's have a look. What's that? Oh, that's it. Oh, exactly. This is exactly what I'm looking for. It's argentite. With argentite, you can either get titanium or you can get silver. I have to really be careful because of my O2 level. So it's quite possible I'll be able to get... that's silver that time. That's a kelp root. So I'll just scan that. I'll be able to swap over to the other tank, but I noticed there's another plant down here. Oh, there you go. So there's an actual sea monkey nest. So if I scan that first, it'll tell me about the sea monkey nest. But you'll see there's a fragment inside, which is for the mobile vehicle bay, for example. So that's quite useful to have. Right, now that. Oh, I need to get out of here. You can hear that crazy thing. That's one of these kamikaze fish. They love to like chase after you and they'll blow you up. But what I need to do is I need to grab some oxygen because I want to go back in there and see if I can find more of this argentite, because that is how I can get silver. And that's one way I found of being able to get them, by looking in these areas underneath the surface, particularly where the sea monkeys are. So those kamikaze fish, there's one there, over there. You can see that this one's been emptied. Oh, it's behind me, I can hear it. So this gives you crystalline sulfur. That there is, it's called a crash fish. I call them kamikaze fish. Fortunately, it doesn't seem to be able to get out. Oh, yep, it hit me. So yeah, causes damage. So I'm going to spend a bit more time down there, I think, because I want to sort of I just need to find one more bit of silver, and then I'll be able to get myself a compass. Just double check if that tank. Right, I'll swap the tanks over. So I've now got at least an extra tank, just as a sort of like a reserve, if you will, in case things do go pear-shaped. So I'll keep having a look down there. So we've got quartz up here. I've got some more. Oh, not another one. Go away. Seriously, go away. They are seriously annoying, them things. Oh, there's another one over there. Oh, good grief. They're absolutely determined to come after you. 39 seconds of oxygen. Sheesh. Let's grab some of the oxygen from this plant here, because it does... Ah, there we go. I'll get tight. Ah, yes, great. So I've now got enough silver to make that wire. I'll just scan that. I mean, all these are doing is they're just giving me information, to be honest. It's more the fragments that we're interested in for getting blueprints. Right, grab that. And I'll head back out. It's very easy to get lost in these places, I must admit. And there are tools you can get later on that actually help you find your way, be able to mark places and give you better bearings and so on. But just head back to the surface. Now we're going to head over to our pod, because now that I've got these... Ooh! Yeah, I can hear that thing. Right, I've just noticed there's a fragment down there for the sea glide. So now on 2 of 3. So if all I need is one more fragment, and then I'll be able to make that. I think at this stage I'll just try and stay as close to the surface as I can. It's kind of difficult keeping an eye on, like, in one respect, I'm keeping an eye out for any fragments as I'm going along. I'm also having to keep an eye on that O2 tank. I'm also having to talk while I'm recording this video. It's like, wow, it's even harder. But there must be... Normally, the way they play, well, the way they've got the game set up is that there's usually quite a lot of resources nearby to where you are. There's usually quite a lot of fragments as well. So they do make it a lot easier to get started. Ah, there you go. So there's like tons of these sea glide fragments, for example. So there you go. We've now learned 3 fragments. By doing that scanning, we scanned 3 different fragments of the sea glide. And because of that, we've now got the entire blueprint that allows us to now make our own sea glide. Oh, what's that? 2 parts of the hoopfish. Fair enough. So I've got the silver, so I should be able to now make the wiring kit. So that comes under electronics. Which now means I've got what I need to make the actual compass. So I've got both of those now, so I may as well take those off the list of things to look out for. Copper wire was there. Right, so they're now done. Now the thing is, I've learned the sea glide, so I may as well learn how to do that. Unfortunately, we know how to make all of those items, so we need a battery. Lubricant's pretty straightforward, so I need some more copper wire. I need some lubricant. What else did we need? Oh, it's pretty straightforward. So I've already got the titanium. I don't have enough copper, but I've got enough to make the lubricant. So we'll make some lubricant out of that seed that we've got. The battery... What does the battery need now? Oh, the battery needs the ribbon cable. The little ribbon plants, doesn't it? So pin that one, because we need some of that. I don't need the lubricant anymore. So we just need to go wandering around looking for these limestone croppings. Eventually we should be able to get some actual copper. So yeah, sometimes you get titanium, sometimes you get copper. There's quite a few different types of outcroppings out there. Like that argentite, for example, sometimes it gives you silver, sometimes it gives you titanium. That one's a galena outcropping, so this one sometimes gives you lead, sometimes gives you titanium. It's just luck. Now, because we've already learned that sea glide, when I scan it now, I mean, I've got the entire blueprint, so by scanning it this time round, because we've already learned the blueprint, it just gives us titanium. So it's a useful way of still getting titanium, because if you go to an outcropping, you get 1 bit of titanium, whereas if you scan a fragment that you've already known the blueprint for, you actually get quite a bit of titanium back, so it's still useful. So I'm going to have a bit of a wander around, because I still need one of these ribbon plants. No, still don't get the copper. So there's copper. I need 1 more piece of copper. Plus a ribbon plant. Right, we've got our copper. 6602. Ooh, a coral bridge. Okay, I'll scan that. Why not? May as well. So I need to have a look around for ribbon plants. So they tend to be kind of like in caves, if you will. So I'll just get my bearings. There's the... Right. There's the actual pod. So there should be more of these ribbon plants quite close to the pod. Because they don't want to make the game too difficult for you. Tell you what, while I'm at it, it's really difficult to sort of like try to keep up with things like peepers, I must admit. Let's see if I can grab that one. Oh, come here! Oh, come here! Stop swimming away! Come here! Come here! Oh. Once I get the sea glide, it'll be easier. Right, I'll put that one away. The reason I want to do that is I want to just do a comparison between the cooked one, between the raw one and say the salted one. Just to see, I'm pretty sure you still get quite a bit of food, but you get, I think it takes away water. Speaking of which, I'm running out of water. Because I've got some salt on me, so I should be able to try and preserve one of these peepers. Right, so let's just pop back into here. Right, so I've got a choice now to cure something. So I'm going to cure one of these peepers. Right, so if we look in our inventory. So that's a cured Arctic peeper. So that's 32 food.
Seek fluid intake.
Okay. That's 32 food versus -2 water. So it'll last longer. But the trouble is it doesn't have as much water. So if I cook the other one... I'm pretty sure we're getting the same amount of food. Yeah, so 32 food versus 32 food. So because it's cooked, we're getting 5 water. Whereas that one, because it's salted, it takes water away. The only thing is, these are starting to go off. So you've got this little gauge telling you, you know, how you know what sort of state this food's in. And the trouble is, eventually it'll get worse and worse. So yeah, that one will lose 10 water by eating that one, and that one. So I'm gonna have to compensate by drinking some water. I can use that first aid kit to heal myself. Let's see, can I make any more mesh? No, I don't. I need some more clusters. But what I could do is I could use the mesh to actually make some more of those health kits. So that's not too bad. So the only thing I need to do is I need to find some of these little ribbon plants. And you normally find them kind of like in little cave areas. And there's usually quite a few of them around where the actual the drop pod is. So let's have a look. Oh, that looks familiar. There you go. So we can get 2 from there. Right, so we should be able to now make another battery. So yes, I need to make the copper wire. So I've got enough copper for that. I need to make the battery as well. I haven't said that I don't have enough to do the copper wire and the actual well, that's the mushroom. I don't have enough copper to do both. And like I say, fragment down there. So trying to get actually these sea glide fragments is pretty easy because there's a lot of them scattered around close to where we are when we start. So scan that. So I just need one more copper from somewhere. Oh, that was lucky. Right, so we're just going to head back to our pod over here. So we should have all that we need. Oh, what's that? Shot for coral. I just scan everything out of hand, to be honest. Here's a... Ooh, this will be a scanner to do that. Right, so... we need a battery. And we need copper wire. And then... is that deployables? Yeah, deployables. That's the sea glide. So that gets us our sea glide.
The Sea Glide is a personal transportation device used for high-speed freediving. Contains a built-in light and map.
Okay, thanks for letting me know. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take that flare out of my hotbar because I don't need it. And I think I'll put the Sea Glide in there. Because the Sea Glide is really useful. So, I'll just equip that. And you can see we've got this like topology map. So it's given us a bit of a breakdown of what the topology likes in the area, but I can turn it off using F, because the thing to bear in mind is it uses up quite a bit of battery power. There's also a light, which fortunately now by default it's turned off, but if I right click it turns the lights on, so it's quite useful when you're getting into dark areas. But the real thing that's useful about this is, like, I can go chasing after these fish a lot easier than I could before. So we do go quicker, but the thing to bear in mind is, while we're going around with this Sea Glide, the battery's going down, and it does tend to go down quite quickly with these, I've noticed. So it's something to bear in mind, but they're extremely useful for getting out of a tight situation where all of a sudden, like, oh, I don't have enough oxygen. You need to rush to the surface, for instance. Anyhow, may as well just make these cook these fish. Clear my blueprint list over there. Right, so clear them off. Click that one, so we don't need to know that one, nor that one. So have a bit of a quick look and see what we've learned. So we don't really have anything to repair, so that's not much use at the moment. These are quite useful in the sense that this will float to the surface and you can start attaching pipes to it. So if there's places you need to go and you're really struggling with oxygen, you can build these, but I must admit they are a bit fiddly. Another thing you've got is an air bladder, which is a quick way of getting to the surface. So I think given my situation that might actually be something that's quite useful. You can make flares, but they're saying it's useful for distracting certain predators, which is a hint. Light sticks if you want to light areas and so on. There's a looker, option to make a looker. We now know how to make a beacon, which is good. Very useful for if there's somewhere you need to go or you've just discovered and you need a reminder as to how to get there. So I'll actually make one of those at some point. The mobile vehicle bay, I still need to find more fragments. I've actually got 2 out of a possible 3. Best place I find is sometimes things like the sea monkey nests, the twisty bridges, which we'll pick up in another video. But yeah, it's not a bad start, I must admit. I mean, we've got ourselves what we've got a tank, we've got a compass, we've got some fins so we can get around a lot quicker with the sea glide as well. We can last longer underwater because I've also got a spare O2 tank as well. We can scan things so we can start to get better technology. So I think, yeah, it's definitely not a bad start indeed. So I'm going to leave it there and we'll see what we do in the next episode.